perception.
Okay, I particularly liked your question, Ron, when you said, where are we drawing from our inspiration? What books are we reading? So I strongly recommend this one book to everyone, which is about degrowth. I mean, sounds like the opposite of where we seem to be. But I just noticed, and I don't know how many of you have picked this up. Usually we read a graph from left towards, from this side to that side. I don't know. I'm a little confused that way. So from right to left. So if I look at this, the M in the summit, it's talking about high growth, and then it sort of goes down. So my degrowth formula was working with the designer here as well. What I'm trying to get at is there's a rule of the universe and the nature, and no other species but the human race breaks it every single day. The rule is you take what you need. Any species, any animal would only go ahead and get what it requires. Birds don't have refrigerators, they don't have storage spaces in their little nests, and at the same time, even a tree, it only takes the kind of nutrients it requires from the soil.
Yeah.
The only kind that breaks that rule is human beings. We want more and we want more, and there's no end to our greed. The book that I'm talking about is called Less is More by Jason Heckel. It's about the degrowth model, because we're 7 billion of us right now, and if we continue to grow, the world GDP, the global GDP, will need to be at least growing by 3 to 5% annually in order to support all of us. That's not sustainable. That's only comparable to cancer. So if we don't want to be the cancerous growth, we have to look at the big picture, which is exactly what this summit is asking us to do. We have to be agile, but often as business leaders, what are we confusing? We confuse the operational agility with the strategic agility. Operational agility would be all about having your existing products, making them the service to be faster, making the product to be cheaper, making your resource use to be more efficient. Whereas strategic agility calls upon how I can explore new markets with new products for new customers. And that's where exactly we were getting confused. We're trying to embrace technology, but not really moving forward towards strategic agility. And that's my pain point. And the daring conclusion this book is actually drawing you towards is anything that's going to cut down the income and the earnings of the richest of the world has to have an ecological benefit for the planet. Wow. So just some thoughts that I want to leave people with.
Well, first of all, I made a note to that Less is More, and as soon as I finish, I'm going to Amazon. I'm ordering that book, because I love that concept.
I get no commission, but I
That's
hope
okay.
That
That's
like
okay.
it.
We're cool. We're sharing almost everybody, right? Okay. Give us your thoughts on that.
I think in disruptive environment, the smaller companies have that edge when they really truly disrupt the environment. I'll give you our example. We're in the pharmaceutical industry. We started in 2000 from a zero base, and we had the why and the vision, the dream of a healthier society. Now, a healthier society is, physically, because you sell drugs. But then we said, no, physically, of course, we sell drugs and people will get healthy. But how do we help the community or the society, larger society, to have that social well-being or the capacity to develop their, the future, or, develop their human knowledge and the capacity. So selling medicine is one thing. This will come along. People will be healthy. But then why was very strong. It's the dream of a healthier society. With a very large canvas, we started building upon it. Initially, because small resources, we had a real tough time, going to the medical professional, that we will not, give you anything for your personal capacity. We will not oblige you in any personal capacity. But anything you want to do with your patients, or anything you want to do with the society, or anything you want to do with your knowledge or the research, we are there. So the medical community looked at us, so this is not, what's in for me? But we had a very clear vision. Our people were very clear about it, that our larger canvas is the dream of a healthier society, because obliging personally will not create that healthier minds. So we had a tough time, but we were, as a family business, we had a very, very strong legacy that whatever we will do in an ethical way that will promote the human capacity and will help the society in the larger context. So initially it was difficult, but now after 20, almost 2 decades passed, so people now appreciate and realize that this company had a real strong philosophy with the why, dream of a healthy society. And now when we go to the medical profession or to the society, they know that this company stands for what. So this was something truly disruptive, which even the industry didn't understand at that time initially. We got a lot of comment that this is not the way to market the product, this is not the way to launch a company, this is not the way to actually run a company. But then, as I said, we had a very strong legacy of marketing our products very ethically. So here we are. But now, with so much resources, with a huge infrastructure, with such a large team, you always have a bureaucracy in how do you continuously disrupt. So these are the today's challenges that so now what we are doing is, we are making small focus teams which can actually go and, kind of disrupt further going forward. So e-commerce is something very new for the pharmaceutical selling, especially when you're selling a drug to the patient directly. So we are testing, small ways, and this is how I think, any company has to disrupt the environment. They need few resources, small teams, and then they can focus and, disrupt the environment. This is what my 2 cents are.
Okay. That's an interesting learning point, because when you're starting out, you're disrupting, and then you can become fat, and because now you've made it and you forget those learnings. And that was key for you to move forward, to keep coming back to that founding structure.
Yeah, and that's what I keep telling my team. What we did 20 years ago is not valid for today.
Yeah.
So we need to think differently, and how we differently give to our market, to our profession.
Yeah.
So we really need to, have a very, very different points and different perspectives. So we need to bring in young team, and as we say, I don't know all. We have to listen and to see how we can do better. So for that, we need to have focus teams. We need to do small bits, and then can grow a larger into that context.
Definition of agility. Remember that. Definition of agility was what you just gave, masterclass on that. So thank you so much for that. Go ahead.
Thank you. So in terms of disruption, we've obviously, the way I think about it is it's when a new entrant or a competitor basically offers a better value proposition to your customer, and perhaps is more responsive to where the market is heading than you have been, either owing to legacy issues or, like we mentioned, you are initially the disruptor and then you become too bloated and you lack that agility. So, there's been a lot of talk of disruption in the logistics sector, and if I may just share, from what is our perspective as the market leader on that disruption, I think it also comes down to what one of the speakers said about deep purpose, because ultimately you have to really think about the overall purpose of your organization, and are you willing to contest every battle, and do you want to throw resources into every space? So one really has to pick and choose which verticals you want to compete in at that level. The way that TCS operates, we have a pretty, very broad canvas, and I just want to segment it a little bit and explain to our audience here that, for example, on the B2B market, which is, where we address the entire cross-section of industry from pharmaceuticals to banking and education, fashion, etc., where we see the market really going is the desire for integrated third-party logistics solutions, where we really manage the effective sort of end-to-end logistics, starting from inventory management through to multimodal transportation, very often that has a cross-border element, all the way down to sort of warehousing and fulfillment and distribution. There, in that segment, we have seen some disruption, particularly as far as trucking is concerned, particularly because trucking happens to be a very inefficient and disorganized sector in Pakistan. But the traditional business model is still very much alive because it's not really sustainable to hyper focus on one small segment without the infrastructure that supports it. And so I would say that in the traditional B2B segment, we haven't seen the sort of disruption that is at least till to date. However, in the B2C segment, which is mostly to do with our end customer touch point, to do with, for example, e-commerce deliveries where we deliver to households and individuals, that is where we're seeing two very distinct trends in terms of where the market is going and how customer expectations are changing. One of them is the desire for greater visibility. So customers are demanding transparency and tracking abilities, etc. And the second is greater convenience, where customers are demanding flexible delivery schedules and pickups from homes, etc. Now, as an established player, which follows a sustainable business model, which is not dependent on investor funding, our challenge really is that we are in a market where there's extreme downward pressure on prices, and yet there is a need to invest in the technologies that will enable us to follow where the market is going. So I think, this is sort of, I wanted to lay out, our perspective on the logistics landscape, but in summary, I think what I would say is that there is definitely a desire to create those efficiencies internally and to really be hyper-focused on your own, try to at least discover what your own blind spots are so that you can follow the market and preempt those changes before your competitors do. And there, I think the need for smaller teams and this agile thinking, innovative thinking is very critical.
Yeah, I'm sure you're noticing a theme, of facing an industry and how do you disrupt and listening more and trying to create a solution to that. That's kind of a common theme that we're going through. So give us your thought. Thank you so much for enlightening us with that.
Yeah, Ron, thank you so much for the question. There's this very famous business quote on disruption that there would be no new normal again.
Yeah.
So there would be a disruption followed by another disruption, followed by another forever. And if we reflect back the last 15 to 20 years in our lives also, our lives have changed big time, right? From 9/11 to pandemic, through the change in technology that we have seen. We have also seen that the businesses and the brands that were not able to design or equip themselves or failed to anticipate the disruption coming in, they vanished, right? And when I was growing up, I grew up under the era of Motorola being the only mobile phone that everyone else would use, and then Nokia, then iPhone. So and you look around even socially as well. Today we're sitting when the generation Alpha with people who have been born 2010 onwards and Generation Z. So as the generation percentage in the population keeps on changing as well, we also see a change in the social values in our societies as well. So disruption is all around us. It is not just about a breakthrough IT innovation, but it impacts us in many ways. In fact, some of the government regulatory changes as well. So now from a corporate perspective, as our organization, what is our policy as being the biggest snacking player globally? So we said that there are few facets of disruption that you could control, and there are few that you could not. So to control means that you could anticipate. So a social change, so just to give you an example, so we as an organization, we have our Vision 2030, and the Vision 2030 of the organization has been designed with the change in trends that we have seen in many markets. So example being well-being, snacking is growing rapidly across the world, and some of the developed economies, it is really, really high. So as the organization now, we have decided to move away from some of the categories like gums, etc., and use that money to acquire businesses that involves baked snacks and well-being snacks. And as an organization, we have acquired quite a lot of organizations globally. So anticipating that the changing trends of consumers, which today could be in single digit, with the passage of time when they become big, what impact it would have on the organization, and how the organization can today redesign itself to prepare for the future tomorrow. Similarly, if I talk about from a Pakistan perspective as well, government regulations, change in government regulations can also have a big impact or disrupt your businesses as well. So being in Pakistan as an emerging market, I think one of the a very important way to anticipate is to see that what different developed economies are doing or the policy changes that they are bringing, because generally the cycle is that it is implemented there first and then emerging markets picks it up. So preparing your organization in advance on some of the disruptions that could happen is and I've spoken about another important one is on sustainability. So sustainability in developed economies is huge, right? You will be surprised to know that some of the researches that have been conducted, consumers have showed the intent that they would like to switch their brands for the brands. The percentage is about 57%. For the brands who have a commitment to the planet or doing something for the sustainability, the employees, colleagues, 70% in USA, the people say that they would like to work for the organizations who are doing something for the planet, etc. Right? So, looking into those trends, anticipating those trends, and preparing your organization is very, very important. How organization can navigate through disruption. Another, so there's some of the disruptions that you cannot anticipate, right? So COVID, no one anticipated. 9/11, no one anticipated. So in those kind of disruptions, it's very important for the organization to have the right culture injected, right? So the right culture is to promote the culture of agility over perfection, like you rightly spoke about it. Empowering. So in our organization right now, there's a big term, the 3 terms, EFC, empowerment, focus, and connection. And there's a full-fledged campaigning going on. So I'm being evaluated by my team members, whether do I empower them or I don't. So empowerment is what? Empowerment is about amplifying the intelligence of your organization. So in a room versus one person taking the decision and thinking and making those calls versus empowering the other 5 team members also to utilize their intelligence, etc. So some of the cultural shifts that organizations need to bring so that whenever there's something that has hit them which was not anticipated, the organization is ready, not just the leader, but the entire organization is ready to turn it around.
Okay, cool. Reflections. How are we reflecting on where we are as an organization? How are we reflecting and connecting to you talking about the environment? I watched this ad for DHL, and it comes on and it shows a woman coming to work, diversity, getting in a truck, pulling the charging station out, and she's driving through a park, different demographics in the park. It's not about you ship 2 packages, you get 1 for free. It's about the purpose and aligning everything. So thank you so much for bringing that forward. Thank you.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do is define what disruption is, at least from my perspective. So disruption is basically a rapid change, right? And disruption can also be that someone or some company has a significantly better solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. So it's very important that you stay in love with the problem rather than the solution. 2 major disruptions one disruption has happened and one is happening as we see. The first one I'd like to talk about is the knowledge disruption, right? What is knowledge disruption? So it's like knowledge used to be a privilege of the few, then it went to many, and now it's with everyone. So it was like an Encyclopedia Britannica 40 years ago, then it was that same encyclopedia on a CD, and now it's on the smartphone. So knowledge is a level playing field for everybody, right? But the most important thing and the ability to use that knowledge is basically intelligence. And now we see that with AI coming in, that intelligence is also going through that process which knowledge went through in the last so many years. And that's, I think, one of the biggest elements of disruption one can currently think of, and we really need to understand how it's going to impact our businesses or whatever we do, for that matter. We have many other examples, like what happened to Kodak film. It was eaten up by Fuji or whatever those guys were in digital cameras. And then you see that the digital camera is eaten up by the smartphone, right? Very quickly. So the hunter becomes the hunted. Yeah. And there's collateral damage. So when the smartphones come out, there's no need for a flashlight, there's no need for any alarm clocks for that matter. So many things, right? Yeah. So you have to understand whether, or at least, anticipate whether you're going to be collateral damage or you're going to be the hunted, or what, where would your, or the hunter for that matter, right? So how, you can deal with disruption is how quickly and how well you're able to adopt the new technologies that are in play, for example, AI, right? And how quickly and how well you're able to redefine your traditional business model, whichever model that you're following. But before I end, I'd like to sort of quote Bill Gates over here. So he says that, we generally tend to overestimate the change which is taking place in the next 2 years, but significantly underestimate the change that's going to happen in the next 10 years. That's what I think of the whole thing.
Thank you for that. I thought of a photo I saw, all of the discussions about AI and the implications, and someone posted a photo of college professors who were protesting the use of calculators. Take it back. Some of you may not know what a calculator is, but at one time we had a device that we would use. They were protesting the use of calculators in the classroom. And see where we are today. So it's going to happen whether you address it and embrace it or not. So thank you so much for bringing that historical perspective to the stage. Thank you.
Great.
So again, we're saving the best for last. You're the home run hitter.
Oh my God.
For closing this out.
So I'm just picking up from what Rizwan just ended, right? Disruption, he defined the disruption. And I think we just try to complicate a lot. I think disruption is not like a spray paint approach. There is a world of opportunity, but power is in focus, right? So there are problems and opportunities in every business. It's not like IT or it's non-IT. You just need to go deep, because focus liberates you to go deep, and then you solve the specific problem through disruption, through innovation, through agility, as a lot of speakers just talk about it. But idea is there are problems and opportunities both. How you are just simplifying. I think what Rizwan just said, we try to complicate things, right? We just think very complex, right? Problem solution is very simple. When you are automating something, and what now, you just to give an example, I'll just pick up on it, just said about the smartphone. Now the human device has been launched. So yeah, cell phone is being disrupted. Like now there is a translation, right? I just click the button on this AI pin and somebody's talking in a different language. It will translate everything, right? And if I'm telling, it will translate into other language. I can make a phone call, I can do virtual reality, and I can do things on my palm. So everything is, now what is human psyche, right? Okay, as he said that when a smartphone came in, everybody thought that it solves a lot of problem and it makes it obsolete. Now people are thinking about this device, what it's going to do.
Yes.
Now it's a new level of excitement.
Yes.
I think, so it's a disruption everywhere. And again, I think he just said that AI, right? I think people have a myth that AI will replace the jobs, AI will do this and that, and we will be jobless and homeless. It's not like that, right? It will create more jobs, right? Every time disruption happens, it takes few years.
Yes.
It takes always few years. It's not
Yeah.
like overnight change
Yeah.
that, okay, this is going to happen and you are done with it, right? What AI is going to do, AI can predict. There is a fine line between AI can predict, but the judgment lies to a human. So you need to understand that you can have a scenario analysis. AI can predict these scenarios for you, but as a human, you will always have a need for a judgment, decision making.
Yes.
So that is not going to change the world. I think like the people think like this, right? Now, again, we were all about like 10 years ago, all descriptive reporting. Okay, what happened yesterday, tell me. Then machine learning came in. Okay, tell me how I'm going to predict based on the past data, what I have. and how I'm going to disrupt my business model and automate the process. Now, then AI comes in, then I want to prescribe the specific problem and have a solution for it. Now you're talking about Gen AI. You're talking about natural language processing.
Yeah.
Now, what is happening, right? I'll just highlight two things this, right? So now every business owner or CEO telling us, because we provide solutions, okay, I want to interact with computer. I don't need my IT people to give me a report. I want to write. I want all the employees who have degree from IBA, just in a plain English, and I want to get a model. I want to get a data out of it. So it's a natural language processing, interacting, like all of you have heard ChatGPT now. So it's a very simple. Now they made it very simple. Like it looks simple, but it required a lot of innovation, OpenAI and things like that. Microsoft has been working on this for 5 to 6 years before they launched and before they perfected this model. In the past, what AI was doing was predicting based on the historical data. Now, if Rizwan does not have the historical data because of a new business idea, he can have a Gen AI and generate the data and still predict and prescribe the solution. So I think all we need to do is have to adopt what is happening around us, have to learn what is happening around us, and try to at least follow what's happening, not be a change resistance, right? Like, okay, I will not change this because whatever I do is right, and I'm not going to change my business model. Now you need to be constantly innovating. And as you said, everybody said that agility, disruption, innovation. So this is a continuous process. Change is not constant, right?
You see what I said, the best for last. This is why we had you sit on the end over there. So thank you for that. Go ahead. You wanted to make a point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're putting us all under pressure because of him. But anyway. So, while we're, as leaders, we're talking about change, we're talking about disruption. But, I'd like to quote Jeff Bezos here that, you need to also keep focusing on what's not going to change. Yeah. And that is how you can delight the customer always, and how you can give better value to the customer. So this is also very important that you focus on things which are never going to change. That's a comment I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This ends our panel time. I want to do Q&A, but we don't have time. I see the boss looking over my shoulder here. So let me just close this out. Our topic was leadership and strategy, marrying those two, till death do us part. This is kind of where it's headed. And our focus was to redefine leadership in this new reality. Craft strategies that are proactive is what we've been talking about, foreseeing and navigating this wave of change, and just calm down, and react to it. So it was about confronting challenges and seizing opportunities to drive meaningful and sustainable impact. And I think we did pretty good. Can we get a big hand for our panel? Masterclass. Thank you.
I'll request everyone to please remain seated. Thank you so much. I really don't know. There were so many gems that kind of came along. From leadership is the compass for the map of strategy, listen more, communicate better. Leaders are those who make others better. I think that kind of stole the show for me. And trust, empathy, authenticity, why creates the crucial deep purpose. I think all these are such wonderful, deep, pondering points for all of us to reflect and gain from. Harry Potter, the series, has that newspaper called Daily Prophet, and just when I was listening to Asif, I was wondering that this AI may be the Daily Prophet now. We are not reflecting in newspapers. We are now going to be telling you what's going to happen. You better be ready for it. So I think that is the kind of age that we have stepped into, and agreed that the final judgment will always be in the hands of the humans at the helm of the affairs. So it's not just going to be the data, it's just going to be the interpretation of the data and the understanding of the data that is going to continue changing, and change is going to be the only constant that we will now work with. So lovely, thank you so much. I will request Syed Zulfikar Ali, our co-founder for Nutshell Solutions, and Farooq Amin Saab, CEO for Unity Foods, to please join us on stage for the memento ceremony. For the first three mementos, I will request Mr. Asif Juma, Chief Executive Officer, Lucky Core Industry, to please join us on stage. Louder, please. There's tea coming up in a bit. Rizwan Diwan, Director, Gatron Industries, and Executive Director, Novatex Limited. Thank you. Saira Van Malik. Saira Van Malik, President, TCS Private Limited. We have to be grateful to Bonanza Satrangi Fragrances. They've sent us specific fragrance sets for our gentlemen and ladies in the speakers panel. Next is Asif Peer, Chief Executive Officer, Systems Limited. I will now request Bruno Olierhog, founder and CEO, Ubuntu Advisory and Consultancy, to please come and join us on stage for the next set of mementos. Juma Saab, please stay on stage for the photograph. Sami Wahid, Managing Director, Mondelez Pakistan Limited. Mohammad Harun Qasim, Managing Director, Pharma Evo and Shield Corporation. Sidra Iqbal, broadcast journalist and positive change activist. And our very precious Ron Thomas, Managing Director, Strategy Focus Group, USA and UAE. Thank you, Ron. This was a wonderful moderation. We loved the questions. If I could request the entire panel to come for the photo now. Rabia and Asfar, if I could have you on stage for the photo, please. Okay. Mic over to Rabia for the final session of the day.
Well, hello again. Thank you very much, our dear panelists. We are all set now for the 5th session of TFS and the last session of day 1. So I'm going to invite the panelists and the moderator for our 5th session on the stage one by one. Our dear friend William Baubin, General Partner SOSV and Managing Director Orbit Startups. William, there you are. All right, so this is a tongue twister. It's Nathan Sivagananathan. I hope this was okay. Partner, Taprobane Seafoods Private Limited and co-founder Orbital Energy Private Limited. All right. So Konstantin Makarov, Senior Executive Officer, Stratlink Middle East and Africa. And then Janchai Nambut, Vice President Heritage Funds LPF. I'd like to invite Robert Ziblowski, Investor Management Consultant, co-founder, Top Consulting, Poland. Is Robert in the hall? Yes. Okay. Shahzad, could you please check if Robert is in the hall? And our moderator is well settled and quite comfortably seated. Saqib Ahmed, once again. Is anyone looking for Robert? Please. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Saqib, over to you for the 5th session and the final session of day 1.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabia. So here we are, I think on the last sessions. And let's start with something different again. I will be honest, I did my first session in a complete suited, booted, tie and everything. And I thought I need to get something different. It was difficult for me wearing joggers on the stage. Mental barrier, old school, you know, the things that we don't want to change. Sometimes we feel it doesn't look nice, and sometimes we feel it's not like, you know, it doesn't give the vibe that I carried over the period of so many years. Let's be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we do today is a complete change. And everything that we are talking about will become and forge our future is absolutely, we don't know where we end up. We have great panel of today, and to be honest, what we will be discussing today is about where we are going to forge our future, where we are heading to. Let's be honest with each other and let's be very clear about each other. There is a question that we talk about. Are we in a mess? Are we not going so fast? Are we not embracing to the change just for the sake of that we need to change? Are we not just following blindly some of the things that are there in the developed countries and maybe they are not okay with our culture, with our religion, with our aspects of that we go in our life? Is this all a mantra that we are falling in and we don't know where we will end up? Is this where we are heading? And to be honest, when we come into this technology and future related events, there's a lot of discussion about disruption. There's a lot of discussion how the world is changing. There's a lot of discussion where we are going and heading into. But I say again, are we going right? And that's the question that I will start putting in over today. And that's something that I will start with Nathan today. Nathan, I will first start with directly to you and asking, are we on the right track of technology? Are this disruption that we are talking about, which is running in such a fast pace, is the path to go? Somebody needs to recheck it, and somebody needs to define some policies to check are we in the right direction? You need to turn it on. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. You know, my background is I'm from Sri Lanka, and like in Pakistan, we went through enough challenges in the last 1 year, and we've had to go back and understand whether the fundamentals of what we as a business, we as a country, were doing is correct for the future. One of the things that came out of it is there needs to be a balance. We can be fast to the market, but the market might not be ready for some of the technology. Therefore, we need to reverse. The greatest example is one of the companies that we run is renewable energy. Now, in the West, everybody who was in renewable energy when we're converting into renewable energy are reversing, and they're going back into coal power plants and furnace oil plants because they want to get the cost base right. And cost is a driver of a lot of things, including technology. Whereas in Sri Lanka, we've gone on a plan of 70% renewable energy by 2030. And we're looking at bringing down that additional cost of imports of oil and coal and everything else by offsetting it with the sun and the wind that the country has. So I think there is a balance, and when I look at it through my eyes, we are balancing that out in countries like Sri Lanka. We also are looking at regional opportunities. I think COVID has taught a lot of people that having customers and suppliers in 2 different continents doesn't always help, and therefore technology in that sense within this region and supporting and supplying within this region is much more lucrative now than ever before, and I think all the regions are looking at it the same way.
So you put a very interesting point in. You guys are calibrating yourself. You guys are seeing that if 100% renewable is the direction or not, and we need to see the balance of the cost optimization that we are looking at. I think interesting point, interesting analysis. William, if I come to you, and let me put the question, similar question, but in a different way over here. Do you think that what you are doing today and what future you are predicting for your company, they are aligned? This is exactly what you think will happen on the strategies and the vision that you are driving your company today? Or you feel there are still some unknowns, some uncertainties that may change the future that you are perceiving today?
Yeah, so there's always unknowns, right? But we've seen this movie before. So when I started investing in China, the total value of the market for internet and software was about $3 billion. This is 2003, 2004. When I stopped investing in 2018, it was $3.5 trillion. Okay, so I'm not saying that Pakistan is going to have the same pattern, but we are seeing a lot of the same drivers. So since December 2019, when I started investing here, we've invested in 19 companies. Actually now 21, sorry. 5 this year. And those companies have already digitized over 2 million businesses here in Pakistan. We only invested $5 million. Since then, we helped those companies go on to hit break-even, positive unit economics, and raise over $70 million in outside capital. And none of that capital came from anybody in this room. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you guys going to participate in the future of this country through these companies? Or are you going to see what happened in China happen, where international capital and international processes and approaches come in and do it for you? We would be super supportive of you guys getting involved and being supportive, whether that's with support, partnership, or even just investment money. So
William, I will continue on this point. When you say that this investment has been done by the people and you have seen the output, can you give me one or two examples which has impacted the life of the people or make the life of the people better for Pakistan in terms of the digital disruption that you are talking about?
Yeah, so we invested in 5 companies that digitize micro, small, medium businesses. So one is in healthcare, MedIQ. The second is called, my pronunciation is horrible, but Dastigir, or Dastiger?
Yeah.
Yeah. Digikata, which is probably the #1 kata in the country, and 24/7 Apni Dukan. And so these companies are basically disrupting the traditional supply chain. So there's producers back to the farmers, and then traditionally there's a middle person, a middle person, a middle person, distributors, wholesalers, market sellers, and then you finally get to the actual store. And these companies are digitizing that supply chain, making it more efficient, cutting down the number of trips, decreasing the amount of rotten food and product, and in the end, decreasing the pricing to the end store by 20%, enabling the cost of food, the amount that people spend on food, to fall roughly 20%. So if you multiply that by tens of thousands of businesses and over 2 million overall monthly active businesses on the system, you have a much more efficient system. And it's we've had flood and devaluation and inflation and all sorts of stuff, and there's been almost no impact to any of our companies, except maybe short-term blips. Because if you're putting 20% more in the pocket of 2 million business owners every month, it's impossible to get in the way of that. It's impossible to stop it.
Great.
I'll give you one. I can give another example. I'll give other people a chance.
Okay. Thank you, William. I think that's important factor. We need the business owners to own their decisions. We need to provide them the data so that they can make the best decisions at the right site, at the right time, so that the best results can be achieved. I think supply chain, digital disruption, the cost optimization, these are the key factors that the companies want to have control about so that they can get the best output for them as well. So, Janki, coming over to you, how do you see innovation as an enabler? Because what is happening today in this world is that we are trying to innovate, and then within a very short of time, there is another innovation coming in which takes away the previous one. Is this pace of innovation is not too fast because we are not able to see the results of one and then we are ready to adapt to the new one? Is this going on the right track?
Thank you for the question. For me, I think innovation, like digital, need to back up with physical. Like people still need to meet face to face in order to make big transactions. Innovation is not the answer of everything. We need innovations to add value in some of the sector, like in Pakistan. Tourism is the key driver to drive more wealth to the regions. So we can add innovation and use digital to promote tourists to Pakistan. So this is the key to improve the economics to these regions.
I think the important part of it is that since you touched this topic which directs with your field as well,
Yes.
in terms of, do you really feel Pakistan as a place, how we can improve it as a country where the people can come, visit, see the spaces, see this country, and that is a big revenue stream as well.
Yes.
What are the things that you feel we need to do more sitting from outside view?
Yes, I'm from Thailand originally. So this way, speaking from my direct experience, we start from small sector like local politicians. So we support tourists in our hometown from cultural heritage. So I think Pakistan and Thailand, we have this thing in similar. So we can promote from small sector, and the revenue can go directly to the household, you know. Like if we promote with the small sector first, and then this way we can start today. If we think big and then we think about we need to like build a hotel, we need more infrastructure, that thing is a long-term plan, which is it take 5 to 10 years to build infrastructure. But you already have the culture here, which is you can show the world that you have culture, like you can exchange culture. And you also have the art, that this is the key, this is the tools for people to come and meet, exchange culture. This is the very, you know, asset-light approach to improve tourism.
I think that's the key. I think in Pakistan, there is so much to see, to be honest. It's not only the cultures, it's about the beauty, it's about you go to the northern areas, you meet the people and you are able to connect to them. I think that is one area where we need to work very heavily to make it a market showcase as a country that we are. Konstantin, coming to you, you have been running businesses like anything. There's a lot of work that globally is being done on that diversity and inclusion. Now, is this diversity and inclusion has to be adopted in every phase, in every country? Maybe some of the countries are not ready for that pace. Is this the path that in Pakistan we need to follow right away, or we need to take steps to reach that stage up? How you are running your organization in terms of diversity and inclusion, considering you are working as a global company?
Thank you for the question. I think diversity needs to be redefined in the local context, right? So I think the idea of having diversity and inclusion with a singular definition is just the false way to go forward. I think there's operational diversity, knowledge diversity, plus all the other diversity that all of us are very much aware of. So for us, I think success is to have multiple viewpoints and multiple opinions that are derived from experience that is very different, rather than checking boxes of how many females do we have involved in this project, how many people from a certain region do we have involved in this project. Really, we view diversity as being a bit more holistic in nature, rather than just to check a box to ensure that we keep our ESG masters happy.
And how do you see in a cultural country like Pakistan, how far we can continue this diversity and inclusion that is very much focused in the multinational companies at this point of time?
So perhaps I'm not the best person to ask this. I've lived in 6 different countries and come from a fairly diverse background, so ranging from Saudi Arabia to Africa to the US. So I think each country has their own journey of what that diversity and inclusion means. Unfortunately, there seems to be pressure externally to force certain elements that the society may not be ready for just yet. And what we try to encourage is for a very natural evolution of previous speakers were talking about knowledge and how knowledge is spreading faster currently. I think once that happens, the desire to have multiple opinions and multiple viewpoints at the table will become natural. And this is the only way that becomes a realistic goal that all of us can achieve.
So true. I think you explained it really well. I think this agenda of diversity and inclusion is very important, no doubt. But every country has its own trajectory. Every society has its own speed to adopt it. This is all very important, but needs to be done on a speed that the culture, religion, and everything goes along with that one. And it's a difficult path because people goes along on that front. Yes, William, you wanted to say something, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So I'm not an expert here. I don't actually live here, but from my understanding, white-collar men spend about 10% of their income commuting to and from work, whereas women spend 30% or more of their income getting to and from work in Pakistan. They have to spend more money so that they have a safe way to get to work without being harassed. So we invested in a company called Buscaro, and they provide the ability to book a seat in a car or a van with vetted drivers at a much lower price, so that people can get back and forth to work, both men and women, in a much cheaper, more efficient, and more predictable way. Now, one of the things that the people in this room can do, if they actually want to make a difference, is contract Buscaro for their employees. The employees can still pay for it because they'll be saving a lot of money getting to and from work, but make that available to them. And so if you want diversity and inclusion, make it so that people don't have to spend 30, 40, 50% of their income getting to and from your workplace.
That's absolutely, I think you gave a good example in terms of how we can make an impact on the society, exactly. Nathan, coming to you, and let me put a question from the Sri Lankan background there. You had some difficult years over there in terms of financial crisis that went into Sri Lanka. What are the learnings that we in Pakistan can take care about, that you felt that if we would have done this thing, we could have nurtured it better, that perhaps we are also in a certain financial situation that we need to take care?
My trip here has been like a replay of what's happened in Sri Lanka. You guys are about probably 8 months to a year behind us in what's happened here in Sri Lanka. And the number one thing was the delay in getting the IMF program underway, and trying to bring in the policies around taxes, around subsidies and things like that, to be in the right place for the subsidies to be released by the IMF. But some of the things that really went against all of us has been, number one, this global slowdown. Number two has been the global interest rate increases. Number three has been the 2 wars that have suddenly turned up. Has had an impact on all of us from a consumer point of view, and the export earnings in all these countries have reduced as well, whereas the cost of production has increased. The learning from that is, I think we are relying too much on a lot of Western markets, and there is an opportunity within the regional markets. We have probably close to 4 billion people in a circle of 3 hours from Pakistan or whether it's Sri Lanka. So one of the things we've done is we've just made in the last 1 year, we've made a massive investment into Pakistan, close to $30 million in aquaculture. We believe that, diversifying our risk in terms of having all our business in Sri Lanka and India and Pakistan will give us a better opportunity in this region. We don't need potentially Western companies coming in and setting up in our region to be providing for the region. So we've taken a regional approach. We've done the same thing with energy. We've taken a regional approach. And what it's done is that yesterday and day before, I was in different parts of Pakistan on the coast, looking at various pieces of land, various fishing communities, and understanding how we have created jobs for them, and how we have been able to bring the farmers back into the fishermen back into a supply chain that's really creating export. So suddenly we've been able to go from 0 exports when we invested in January to millions of dollars of exports by the end of this year. And this business is going to be the 3rd largest shrimp farm in the world. And creating that export opportunity is a key part of getting out of the hole that we're all in. And I think the private sector here has to really look at opportunities where resources are available and you're not bringing in inputs from other parts of the world for export, where resources are available in the country to really create export opportunities. The second thing that we're doing in Sri Lanka is really privatizing all the state sector businesses, because state should not be in business. State should be supporting business. And the privatization, everything from airlines to hotels to properties, is being completely privatized and very openly privatized through IFC and ADB and people like that, so that it's a clear mandate to be able to look at the debt situation. The third and final point is really using opportunities around debt to carbon swaps and getting that in the front of consumers or big companies around the world, looking at things like creating, we're in shrimp farming, as I said, looking at mangroves, we're in renewable energy, looking at carbon credits in those, how the government can help in swapping some of those carbon offsets for their debt as well. So I think those are the three things that I would think Pakistan should start looking at.
I think that's really pearls of wisdom, if I really say. Just for the audience out over there, all these 3 points are a very key for us. If we are talking about privatization, state, he said it in a clear word, state is there to do business. State is there to facilitate business. And I think the privatization is the key. And the carbon footprint, that is something that has hit us so badly with the floods that we are talking about. I think we need to get this sustainability in every part of the work that we do. It's a must, even not only for the sake of business, but even if we are going and buying and taking away the plastic away, we are doing our part on that one. That is a must that we all should start doing on that front. And the important part that is that start using the things that are built in the country. Do we really need to work on the things? Some of the qualities will come plus and minus, but at the end of the day, we will start forging something we'll be doing. I remember I mentioned in one of the talks early, in my early days when I was in the student, I used to see the Indian movies where it was always the Prime Minister will come out of that car where the door will open from the opposite side. And I was always worried that why the door is coming from that opposite side. And I'm talking about in the mid 80s and 90s. And what now I realize is, at that very point of time in India, they were asked that all the ministers and all the prime minister will use their locally built cars. They were not allowed to use any of the international cars. That was 35 years back. And that's how they were trying to give the message to their industry that to be done. So very well managed on that front.
Just to add one point, I was completely shocked. I went to probably 8 or 9 landing sites in the last 2 days. Where the fish comes in and various other products come in, just to get an understanding. And I was shocked with the amount of plastic that was around these boats. And I was shocked on the behavior of the fishermen and how they treat plastic. And it's probably lack of education. So we're trying to educate them in terms of better ways of doing it, because in Sri Lanka, we're the highest rated sustainable seafood company in the whole of Asia. We're the only ones in Asia that produce for Whole Foods, and trying to bring that mindset in here, and we want to hunt in packs, so others can also do that as well.
I think that's something that we need to own as a nation. I think we can take guidance from the people who are doing it the best, but at the end of the day, it's us who needs to get it implemented. William, coming to you, we have been talking whole day about organizational culture. And in order to get the right set of resources, it's very important to have a culture which goes global as well. We are able to have, Google is able to manage a certain culture across all parts of the world. How do you see in your organization the development of the culture, and how much it's important to get the key resources retained because they like the culture that you have developed there?
Yeah, I think, culture is one of those amorphous things that it's hard to define, it's hard to build, it's hard to drive. When I started the organization, or with the organization, there's 4 of us. Now we're not huge, but we have over 40 in a community of over 600. And I think that the thing for in Islamabad, it's called the leaders in Islamabad, but the people in this room are leaders, and you have to start from yourselves, right? If you do not live the culture that you want your team to follow, you can't expect that change to happen. So you have to do it first, and keep on driving it. If you continue to do things the old way, or the way that feels comfortable, you're not going to end up disrupting and recreating and driving a revolution. You're just going to end up being disrupted yourself and put to the wayside. Lead from the front.
I think, and that's important for the organizations today, because we are part of a certain transformation. And when we are part of a transformation, it is coming as a digital transformation, but actually it's a cultural transformation. It is asking people to change, and the change is very difficult. For the people to do something and change something that they are doing over the period of years and asking them to change because the digital disruption has come in, that is but that is the right thing to do as well. It's all about how we are developing the culture of the organization, and I think culture will really define how the organization drives itself there. Janki, coming to you, if you have to define the Pakistan nation with your experience in 3 minutes, what are the 3 things that you will define are great, and this is something that we should continue, and which are the 2 things that you will say are not so good, and maybe if we change it in a different way, that can help us to become a better nation?
Sure, thank you for the question. To be honest, this is my first time in Pakistan. I have very good impression in terms of the big picture. I have very good impression because I feel safe. Even I need to travel alone, and then when I arrive at the airport, I feel like everyone is so friendly and very supportive, because I'm this is the country that I never been. Actually, it's not far from Thailand, but with the culture and everything, we have something in common. It's very people are very easygoing, I would say that. And for the point that I think it would be better to attract more tourists and more investment, because in the end of the day, people seeking for somewhere to live if they feel comfortable to live at. If I need to travel somewhere, I would travel to if I feel safe, if I feel comfortable, especially as a woman, And I think infrastructure really the key to develop the country. But I think it takes some time, and with the public sector and with the strong partnership with China, I think it would be real soon to be very good point, very the thing that we expected. And the last one, I think the culture here is very rich, because you have something that unique with all around the world. They don't have it. This is the thing that you can attract more. As in Thailand, we have culture that also the unique selling point, and tourism is very key driver GDP in Thailand. And I think here in Pakistan, you can do the same, because we have the culture and all the heritage, and also you have 5 world highest peaks in the world. So this is very blessed for Pakistan.
Thank you very much. I think you pointed out the right thing, but you were diplomatic and not telling us what we can improve in a more better way. But I take that one. Konstantin, coming to you. The world is changing so fast. How much we should spend in this research and development? Because the chain is becoming so fast, so fastly moving. It is coming up on a change on a very regular basis, how much percentage of business that you put in the research and development in your company and which is giving the right output? What is that ratio?
So I'm not sure if I'm the best position to talk about R&D since we're not a technical company, but I can talk about some of the investments that we help to facilitate. And I would say, to touch on, I think, what Will was saying earlier, which may or may not answer your question directly, but we view the next year or two as the years of resilience because there are many headwinds coming, and not just in Pakistan. So I would say don't feel uniquely challenged. If we look at our businesses in Nigeria, in Kenya, more or less anywhere within what we call the emerging economies, they're facing very similar challenges of cost of capital, inflation, very fast population growth. We keep on hearing that. That's a positive, but has a challenge at the tail end that those people will get older at some point, need to be taken care of. So to come back to your R&D question, the research and development that we're looking at is not internal, but rather is from an investment perspective. We like that R&D and those solutions to be utilitarian in nature. They have to solve a problem that exists rather than selling yet another widget or another screen to look at. So what we put forward as potential investments to our clients are those opportunities that are solving real problems, be it electricity, access to capital, transportation, energy, etc. And so we definitely look at the companies that are investing heavily into R&D. Now, R&D for the sake of R&D is, once again, not something that we're huge fans of. Again, utility is the main driver. Additionally, I would say, in terms of the challenges, you keep on trying to get people to talk about challenges. I'm happy to discuss them. Like I come from I grew up in the Soviet Union, fell apart. The 90s were a wild ride for us. I've lived in Kenya, I've lived in Nigeria, I've lived in Saudi Arabia. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the different cycles. I would say that everything is cyclical. And when we talk about resiliency, and that's what I started with, that it means that the companies have to be prepared and ready to face adversity, and those that that survive will be better for it. And just because a number of companies fail does not mean that it was the failure of the government. It means that those companies didn't see a risk that was around the corner and were not ready. So what we like to also look at outside of the resilient companies is also to really pay close attention to policy, and policy that is that enables the companies to succeed, be agile and nimble. So the government does play a very important role in enabling success rather than controlling success.
Good. I think you nailed it by saying it's very important that they need to help, the governments need to help and support the businesses, define the criteria, define the policies, and then the businesses need to run by their own. I will put one question to all of you, and we'll give 1 minute each. Constantine, I will start from you this time, asking what is the key message that is required to see the big picture that we are talking today for Pakistan that you want us to focus on? And this is the same question for everybody. It's just that sitting on with your experience, where you want us to focus about today.
Pay attention to details rather than just the big picture. I think details and failing at the small things will ensure failure at the big thing, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I think being borderline obsessive about very small details that are critical to your company or the country or the policy will ensure either tremendous success or at the very least the ability to execute a vision. If you don't get the little details right, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Very rightly pointed out. Janke, over to you.
I would say that if you focus on small sector as well, like if you focus on individual, like I said, in Thailand we focus on small sector, and then the revenue it goes directly to the population. If you just focus on the big picture and the big plan, it needs to be from It needs to start from top down, but we need to start from down to top. That way, we can start it today.
William, one message.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so, I mean, the bottom line here is that this is the leadership of the country, right? So a lot of you are in a very unique positions to drive a change, right? And so, you know, there's many opportunities all around the world, and of course the diaspora is taking advantage of those. But you've chosen to stay here or come back and put your resources here, put your passion here, put your work here. And so I think that shows that the big opportunity is transforming this economy, not helping transform somebody else's, right? So, I mean, we're the most active international VC investor in Pakistan. We believe in this opportunity. And even in this downturn, we did 5 new investments this year. We think that there's nothing but upside ahead. And then this is in spite of, you know, inflation and deval and the IMF and the rest of it, and the flood and COVID.
Yeah. Nathan?
I think the biggest opportunity you guys have got here is your market itself. The population itself would be something that you should focus on. There is so many investment opportunities. Sometimes when you come from the outside and you look at an opportunity like a country of Pakistan, you see so many opportunities that are there. Finding great local partners. We have Al-Karam as our local partner here, and having that ability to work with someone who is able to cut across the whole country makes it easier for us. So finding a local partner for me was very important, but the opportunities in Pakistan, you don't need to go to another market. The population's large enough, and the export opportunities around the region is large enough. So just focusing on what you have would get you out of this rut.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have listened to the horse mouth's clear words. We have a big population. We are people over here which are there to feed. We have a great set of opportunities. We are passing through a certain phase, and we have to go and listen to the details. We are going to go into the complete program. We have to go into the execution plan, how the things need to be done quite in detail, and it has to come from top to bottom. It has to go from bottom to top both ways. It is difficult times, yes, but there's a lot of set of opportunities that is present in Pakistan. If you listen to Williams, he's already giving the examples that how they have invested in this time, and they keep on investing, and they are seeing the results of that one as well. Nathan has already mentioned that how he has forged with the local partners and able to get the business out over there, and they are multiplying that business now in different directions as well. I think it's all about the faith. It's all about the strategy. It's all about the implementation, and it's all about how we can get ready for this change that we are looking at. This digital disruption is coming. It's there. We need to be part of it. We need to learn from it, and we need to make sure we adopt our workforce in a very agile way so they all get ready for the disruption that we are looking at today. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we love the panel and love that intellectual experience that you brought to the table over here as well. Rabia, over to you.
So change is inevitable. It's adapting to the change. That's the challenge. And as Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So thank you very much. This was a brilliant session. All our worthy speakers and panelists, William, Nathan, Constantine, and Chanchai, and our brilliant moderator, Saqib. Thank you for closing TFS Day 1 on this hopeful note of leading us into the future. Now we are going to present souvenirs, books and gifts to our speakers. and to the moderator. I'd like to request Asfar Ehsan to please join us on the stage. I'd also like to invite Major General Shehzad Naeem Khan, retired, Chief Public Affairs Officer, Nutshell Group. Please join us on the stage, sir. To present the souvenirs, I'd like to request Mr. Umar Ehsan Khan, CEO, Tollens. Please join us on the stage, sir. So each of our panelists will be getting a personal copy of Dr. Ishrat Hussein's book, as well as fragrance packages from Bonanza Satrangi Fragrances. All right, so Umar Saab, request to please first present the souvenirs to William Baubin. Nathan? Is Nathan there? Nathan? Oh, we were waiting for the souvenirs. Oh. Next is Constantine. All right, next is Janchai. And last but not the least, Saqib, would you like another fragrance pack? I think you can take one for your better half as well. All right, now we'll have the last group photo of today. Shaha, will you please join us?